There's a frequency older than time, softer than silence, more powerful than thunder, and it is broadcasting to you even now, whispering truths your soul has always remembered, but your mind has long forgotten. Introduction. Close your eyes. Breathe. Not just air, but eternity. Let it swirl through your lungs like ancient stardust reclaiming its origin. You are not where you think you are, and you are not who you were told to be. You are a vessel of divine rhythm, a song wrapped in skin, tuned for a cosmic frequency, humming quietly beneath the noise of daily existence. This audiobook, this journey, this awakening is not merely a collection of words, it is a remembering. The forgotten frequency is not something you must create. It is something you return to. It lives beneath your doubts, beneath your fears, beneath every "not yet" and "someday" you've whispered into the void. It lives in the pulse between heartbeats, in the silence between thoughts, in the sacred pause before the manifestation. You were never disconnected from the source. But like a radio that's been set to static for far too long, you've forgotten how good the music feels. You've forgotten the tune that summoned galaxies into spin and breath into bone. But that song, it's still playing, and all that's left is to remember how to tune in. This journey is not for the ears alone, it is for the soul. You will not simply listen, you will feel. You will not simply hear ideas, you will undergo initiations. Every chapter is a sacred step closer to your truest self. Every word, a ripple in your consciousness. Every story, a mirror. This is not manifestation as you've seen it sold. This is not a performance of positivity or a marketplace of mantras. This is the deep work the soul's remembering of its right to command reality with the authority of divine will cloaked in human form. You are not here to beg the universe, you are here to remember that you are its voice. In this space, you are invited to slow down, to listen with more than ears, to surrender into a sacred frequency that has been waiting for your return. With each chapter, I will take your hand not as a guru, not as a master, but as a mirror reminding you of your own reflection in the face of the infinite. You will hear metaphors that unlock you, stories that heal you, words that rebuild your inner temple. You will be asked to participate, to practice, to speak into the silence as if it listens because it does. This audiobook is a tuning fork for the soul, a sacred broadcast from the divine waiting room of your future. There are miracles with your name on them, circling you like satellites. All they require is one thing: alignment. So let us begin not with effort, but with remembrance. Let us begin not with striving, but with surrender. Let us begin not with questions, but with the silent knowing that something ancient is awakening in you. You are not here by accident. You have been called, not to seek, but to remember. And now, the transmission begins. Chapter 1. The static before the symphony. Before the melody returns, there is always static. Before the soul remembers, it must first unhear the noise. There is a moment in every soul's life when the silence becomes unbearable, not because it is empty, but because it is full of forgotten songs, full of half-remembered echoes that brush the edge of your sleep, full of something that feels like home, but wears the mask of mystery. We call it restlessness, we call it yearning. But beneath those names lies the truth. It is the static before the symphony, the spiritual white noise that plays just before the station changes. That's where this journey begins. You do not find the divine frequency in the loudest place. You do not find it where the world says success lives, or where noise claims importance. You find it where all your trying has stopped, where your breath is heavier than your thoughts, where your bones know what your brain has forgotten. In this beginning, we are not rushing to fix or to manifest anything. We are not layering affirmations over anxiety or painting over the pain with golden words. We are sitting in the static and letting it wash over us like an ancient ocean, because the static has wisdom too. You see, the static is the veil. It is the clouded lens of unexamined beliefs, the inherited frequencies of fear, survival, and suppression. It's every voice that told you who you're not, every limitation accepted as truth, every spiritual scar dressed up as personality. But underneath that, underneath the distortion and doubt, there is music. You were born with the frequency already playing within you, not a metaphorical hum, but a literal vibrational signature, encoded in the quietest parts of your being. And manifestation? It's not about begging the universe to give you what you want. It's about aligning your inner broadcast with the station of your soul. Let me take you back. Before the clocks, before the labels, before the masks. Do you remember the first time you felt awe? The first moment the sky looked too big for your body, yet somehow fit inside your chest? That was the frequency knocking. It always begins that way, with wonder. But life teaches you to forget, teaches you to tune out magic and tune into mechanics. It gives you routines instead of rituals, noise instead of nourishment. You begin to live from reaction, not revelation. You manifest from scarcity, not sacredness, and all the while the symphony waits. I met a man once, a soft-spoken musician who had lost his hearing in his right ear after an accident. For months, he stopped playing. He said the silence felt cruel. He thought his music was gone. But then something happened. One evening, as he placed his hand on his guitar just to remember its shape, he felt a vibration. Not sound, vibration. A pulse that moved through the wood into his palm. And he began to weep. Not because he heard, but because he felt. He tuned into the music with his skin, and he told me, I didn't need my ears, I needed my attention. That is what tuning is. It is not always dramatic, it is not always loud. Sometimes, it is simply remembering to feel life again, to let the subtle language of vibration speak to you through sensation, emotion, intuition. That's where manifestation begins, not in desire, but in resonance. So many people try to manifest from the mind alone. They speak affirmations without embodiment. They visualize without feeling. They ask without listening. But the universe doesn't respond to thought. It responds to frequency. And frequency lives in emotion, in belief, in identity. You cannot lie to the signal. It hears what you actually are. So if you're surrounded by static right now, if your life feels muffled, heavy, unclear, good, that's not the end. It's the prelude. The signal is trying to break through, and you're closer than you think. The key is not to fight the static, but to lean into it, to sit inside it with presence, to become still enough that you begin to hear the spaces between the noise. That's where the frequency lives. Not in resistance, but in receptivity. You must become like a sacred antenna, sensitive, surrendered, still. Let your body become the temple through which the divine signal flows. Let your breath become the dial, your stillness the switch, your emotions the amplifier. Let me remind you, you are not broken, you are not blocked, you are simply in static, and static is the sacred storm before clarity. Every soul passes through it. Every creator must unhear before they truly hear. Every mystic must first become empty to receive the infinite. So let's begin here, not with trying, not with effort, not with reaching for something outside of you. Let's begin with stillness. Let's begin with honoring the noise. Because when you stop resisting the static, you start receiving the song. Let's take a moment. Wherever you are, close your eyes. Let your hands rest gently. Let your shoulders soften. There's nothing to achieve right now. No goal to chase, just the breath. Just the quiet hum of your aliveness. That's enough. That's more than enough. Because in the world of divine manifestation, presence is power, stillness is signal, and the forgotten frequency is always whispering beneath the surface of your becoming. Sacred practice, the listening ritual. Tonight, before you sleep, lie down in silence. No music, no guided audio, just your heartbeat and the stillness. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your lower belly. Breathe slowly. With every inhale, say inwardly, I am tuning in. With every exhale, whisper, I am receiving. Stay here for 7 minutes. Do nothing. Expect nothing. Just listen. Feel the presence beneath the static. That is the beginning of everything. Chapter 2. Remembering the sound beneath silence. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the womb from which all sound is born. There is a place within you where silence isn't quiet, it's infinite. A place where sound never stops but transforms, shapeshifts, becomes. This silence is not empty. It is saturated with intelligence, pulsing with divine rhythm. If you go deep enough into it, you'll hear it, the echo of who you truly are. Most people fear silence because they do not understand what it holds. They fill their moments with motion, noise, distraction, because stillness feels like exposure. But the truth is, silence doesn't expose you. It reveals you. And the frequency you are seeking does not arrive in chaos. It arrives in that sacred stillness, where the soul remembers its original sound. Everything in existence is vibration. Every thought, every memory, every cell. But vibration is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle, sacred. So subtle that you must become very still to hear it. It is not a shout, it is a whisper. But oh, how the whisper can shake your world. There is a deeper kind of listening required to enter the field of manifestation. It's not the listening that comes from ears, but from essence. It's a listening that opens from the inside out, a surrender, a receiving, a softening into something older than your name. That's the sound beneath the silence. That's the sacred memory you came here to awaken. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman named Elira, a sculptor. She worked with stone, not just as material, but as memory. She believed each stone carried a story already inside it, and her role was not to carve something new, but to listen for what was already there and release it. One day, while working on what she thought would be her masterpiece, she hit a wall, not of marble, but of meaning. Nothing was coming. Days passed, then weeks. The stone remained still, untouched. One evening, frustrated, she left her studio and walked deep into the forest. She walked without purpose, without destination, just silence and breath and trees. And there, far from distraction, she sat at the base of an ancient oak and cried, not out of sadness, but out of surrender. No more striving, no more chiseling, just release. And then it happened. She heard it, not with her ears, but with her being. A hum, a pulse, as if the forest was singing her name in a language without words. She returned to the studio the next morning and without a plan began sculpting. The stone seemed to shape itself. A figure emerged, serene, soft, sacred. It was not her masterpiece. It was her mirror. She had remembered the sound beneath the silence, and it changed everything. We are all sculptors, carving our lives from the stone of perception. But too often, we chisel from noise, from fear, from comparison. We try to build identities instead of uncovering truth. And yet, manifestation was never about building something artificial. It was about revealing what was already encoded within you. You do not create your true desires. They are embedded in your soul before birth. They are seeds that only grow in silence, that only bloom when watered with awareness. If you want to manifest in harmony with the divine, you must learn to hear that internal music again. It begins with memory. Not memory of events, but soul memory. The kind that lives in the bones, the kind that doesn't arrive as thoughts, but as knowings. The memory of being more than a name, more than a job, more than a list of achievements or failures. The memory of being source in form. That memory is buried beneath layers of cultural conditioning, inherited limitation, and internalized noise. But when you return to silence, not just external quiet, but inner stillness, you begin to hear the sound of your soul again. And it doesn't sound like language. It sounds like peace, like joy for no reason, like clarity, like resonance, like a sudden moment of certainty that isn't logical but absolute. This is what the mystics called the Word. Not a word spoken aloud, but the original vibration, the primal resonance from which all matter was made. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was vibration, and the vibration was you. If you want to shift your reality, you must remember your original sound. So how do you do that? You do less. You pause more. You breathe with presence. You let go of the need to know. You stop performing and start perceiving. You learn to sit in the center of your being without panic. That's where the music lives. In a world addicted to stimulus, your stillness becomes rebellion. Your silence becomes your sanctuary. Your listening becomes your liberation. Because it's in that deep listening that you begin to hear what reality is actually responding to. Not your words, but your signal. Not your effort, but your energy. Not your hustle, but your hum. And that hum is not random. It's sacred. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are is sound in form. Frequency clothed in flesh. Silence translated into soul. So if the world feels too loud right now, if your mind is spinning, if your efforts aren't manifesting, if your prayers feel unanswered, come back to silence. Let go of the noise. Trust that the divine is already broadcasting. You just need to remember how to receive. You do not need to chase your dreams. You need to attune to the version of you that already lives them. She, he, they already exist, already hum at a higher pitch, already walk in the timeline of answered prayers. And when you become quiet enough, you will hear their voice calling you home, not from the future, but from within. Because you are not becoming something new, you are remembering something eternal. So breathe. Drop beneath the surface of thought. Listen not to the noise, but to the quiet rhythm beneath it. There. Do you hear it? That's the sound beneath the silence. That's you. Sacred practice. The sound memory meditation. Find a quiet space. Sit or lie down. Place your hand over your heart. Close your eyes. As you inhale, visualize golden sound waves entering your chest. As you exhale, let go of all noise, both external and internal. Say inwardly, I remember. Stay in this space for 10 minutes. No expectations, just deep listening. If you hear nothing, perfect. That too is part of the music. Repeat this practice for 7 nights in a row. Let your silence become sacred. Chapter 3. The Divine Dial. Tuning inward, not outward. You were never meant to chase the signal. You were built to become the station. There comes a time on every spiritual path where the seeker stops reaching out and begins reaching in. A moment when the search turns inward, like a wave folding back into itself. Not because the answers were denied, but because the questions were misplaced. You have been taught to listen outwardly, to look for signs in the sky, in the stars, in someone else's voice, to wait for confirmation, applause, validation, to follow blueprints written by people whose frequency was never your own. But the divine does not whisper through loudspeakers. It whispers through alignment. And alignment is always an inside job. The dial is within you. Not a metaphor, a mechanism, a sacred instrument of consciousness. A tuning device so sensitive, so precise, that the slightest shift in thought, belief, or emotion can move your entire reality. Most people walk through life unaware of this dial. They believe life is happening to them. But those who learn to turn inward begin to realize it's always been happening through them. There is no external authority more powerful than the energy you hold, no opinion more relevant than your vibration, no condition more defining than your state of being. This is the great inversion. The moment the student of manifestation becomes the vessel of it, not by force, but by frequency, not by trying to control the external, but by mastering the internal. Because the universe is not responding to your words, it is responding to your signal, and that signal is being broadcast from the center of your being at every moment. Imagine just for a second a radio made of stars, bones, and breath. Its dial embedded in your heart. Every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, every thought you think, sends a frequency to the quantum field. That frequency is your prayer, your declaration, your instruction. And the field responds not to what you say, but to what you are. When you tune the dial inward, you begin to realize this truth. Reality is not reacting to your effort, it is reflecting your essence. Let me share with you the story of Ravi, a man I met in Mumbai years ago. Ravi was a street artist. He painted dreams on concrete, not images from his mind, but visions from his heart. His art was vibrant, alive, but no one seemed to notice. He would set up his station every morning, paint with devotion, and pack up every evening without a single sale. For weeks, he asked the universe, "What am I doing wrong?" He tried copying trends, changing colors, altering styles. Nothing worked. One day, he gave up trying to please. He closed his eyes, placed his hand over his chest, and said, "I will paint only what I feel, even if no one sees." The next morning, something shifted. He painted with no plan. Just emotion, just truth. The piece he created was unlike anything before. Abstract, soulful, strange. But within an hour, a woman stopped, then another, and another. By sunset, his painting was sold, for more than all his previous pieces combined. And the next day, the same. Not because his technique changed, but because he changed. He tuned inward. He stopped broadcasting from fear and began broadcasting from truth. That's what happens when you move the divine dial inside. You stop creating from desperation. You stop manifesting from emptiness. You stop reaching into the world hoping it will tell you who you are. Instead, you become the signal. You become the broadcast. You become the center point from which reality unfolds. But here's the key. The dial does not respond to force. It responds to resonance. You can't fake your frequency. You can't pretend alignment. You either are it or you are not. And when you are not, life becomes resistance. When you are, life becomes reflection. So many people try to attract abundance from a frequency of lack. They speak of wealth while vibrating in scarcity. They declare love while holding resentment. They visualize health while identifying with sickness. But manifestation does not speak the language of contradiction, it speaks the language of coherence. Tuning inward means becoming brutally honest with yourself. It means asking, what am I actually broadcasting right now? Not what do I wish, not what do I post, but what do I truly believe? What emotion do I wake up with? What identity am I repeating each day? And then, gently, without judgment, you begin to adjust. Not by changing the world, but by changing the way you be in the world. Not by shouting affirmations into the void, but by becoming a living affirmation. This is the secret the ancients knew. The sages of Egypt, of India, of the desert and the temple. They all knew the kingdom is within. They didn't chase stars. They became starlight. They didn't ask the heavens for power. They embodied it, and so can you. You are not here to be a victim of vibrations you did not choose. You are here to master the dial, to tune to joy on purpose, to attune to peace by choice, to hold the frequency of your highest timeline until the world around you has no choice but to reflect it. It begins now. Close your eyes. Drop your awareness from your head into your heart. Feel the shift. That's the divine dial. Now ask yourself, if I were already living the life I desire, what would I feel like? And hold that feeling, just for a breath, just for a moment. That's the broadcast. That's the beginning of all creation. Sacred practice. The inner frequency reset. Each morning this week, before touching your phone, sit in stillness for 5 minutes. Place your hand on your chest, breathe slowly and ask, what am I broadcasting today? Don't lie to yourself. Don't judge it, just observe. Then gently ask, what do I choose to broadcast instead? Imagine your heart as the divine dial. Slowly, intentionally, shift your inner tone. Smile, not because of what's outside, but because of what you're choosing to carry within. Do this daily. You'll begin to notice the external shifting without effort. Because the dial was never broken, you just forgot where it was. Chapter 4. You are the signal you seek. You were never meant to receive the signal. You are the signal. You always have been. Most of humanity wanders through life with a desperate antenna, always scanning for meaning, for signs, for someone to tell them who they are. Waiting for an external confirmation, for the universe to deliver some miraculous proof that their dreams are valid. But here's the sacred truth. No one ever told you. Not because they wanted to keep it from you, but because they never knew how to say it. You are not the seeker of the signal. You are the signal itself. Not a receiver, a transmitter, a living frequency, a walking vibration of the divine in motion. You're not here to find alignment. You are alignment when you remember your truth. You are not here to attract things from a place of lack. You're here to emanate such fullness that reality shapes itself around you. And yet, most people forget. They forget their essence in exchange for approval. They trade their natural signal for socially programmed static. They learn to be small so they don't stand out, and then wonder why the universe seems so silent. But it's not the universe that's gone quiet. It's them. It's us. It's all of us who've been conditioned to turn down our light, to dim our voice, to disown the vibration we were born to beam into this world. You were encoded with a frequency before you had a name. That frequency is your true voice. It carries the resonance of your desires, not the ego's cravings, but the soul's instructions. You didn't come here empty. You came here tuned, but the world taught you otherwise. Let me tell you a story. There was a boy named Micah who always sang to himself, softly, like a whisper only the stars could hear. He didn't sing to perform, he sang to remember. No one taught him the melodies, they just came to him, notes that felt like home. But one day at school, he sang out loud by accident, and the other kids laughed. A teacher told him to be quiet, that daydreaming wouldn't take him anywhere. So he stopped. Not immediately, but slowly. First he sang softer, then only in his mind, and then, one day, he stopped singing at all. Years passed. He became someone else. A version shaped by silence. Until one night, walking home, he heard a homeless man humming a melody that pierced him like lightning, not because it was beautiful, but because it was his. The very song he used to sing as a child, wordless, wild, free. Micah broke down in tears, not because of the man, but because in that moment he remembered the signal never left him. He had just turned it off. So he began humming again, quietly, then louder, then boldly. He didn't care who listened anymore, because the joy wasn't in being heard, it was in remembering the signal. Within months, his entire life shifted, not because he sought success, but because he embodied his original sound. And that's what manifestation really is. It's not calling something in, it's radiating something out. The universe is not a vending machine, it's a mirror. It doesn't deliver based on what you want, but based on what you are. And when you begin to vibrate from the truth of your being, not from who you've been conditioned to be, but from the frequency of your soul, you begin to attract experiences that match your original essence. Because the signal is not a tool, it's your nature. You don't become magnetic by chasing. You become magnetic by remembering. You don't become powerful by pretending. You become powerful by aligning. You've heard it before, thoughts become things. But that's only part of it. Thoughts are surface. The true architect is frequency. And frequency doesn't lie. It is shaped by your emotions, your beliefs, your embodied truth. And if those are rooted in fear, unworthiness, doubt, no amount of spiritual performance will override them. But the beautiful thing about frequency is this: it can be remembered. You can realign, recalibrate, retune at any moment. You are not a victim to your past. You are not bound by what they called you, what they said you'd be, or the mistakes you've made. The signal isn't broken. It's just buried. Beneath the layers of old identity, under the armor of "I'm fine," beyond the mask of who you became to survive, the signal waits, whole, untouched, sacred. So how do you remember it? By being still enough to feel it, by noticing what brings you home, by speaking words that feel like fire in your chest, by dancing when no one's watching, by honoring what brings tears to your eyes without understanding why. These are not hobbies. These are signal restorations. Because the signal is not just a sound, it's a way of being. And the more you embody it, the more you awaken synchronicity. Reality begins to organize itself around your vibration. You don't have to push, you don't have to hustle. You become like gravity, pulling in the very things that match your inner tone. This is not magic, it is law, a divine law, the law of resonance. And it states clearly, you will always meet in reality what you embody in frequency. So if life keeps giving you things that don't feel like love, don't curse the mirror, change the signal, tune to a new truth, not with force, but with trust, not with fear, but with feeling. Because what you seek is not out there. It's you. It's always been you. And when you become the frequency of what you desire, desire becomes unnecessary. It arrives, effortlessly, inevitably, naturally, because the signal doesn't attract, It reveals, you were not made to beg the universe. You were made to broadcast your divinity. So pause, right now. Ask yourself, not what do I want, but what am I being? That's the real work, the sacred work, the remembering. You are not here to chase the signal. You are here to be it. Sacred practice. The embodied signal activation. Today, take 10 minutes alone. No phone, no distractions. Sit or stand in a quiet space. Ask yourself, if I already had everything I wanted, how would I walk? How would I breathe? How would I speak? Then do it. Walk like that. Breathe like that. Speak like that. Not for performance, but for remembrance. Even if it feels awkward, especially if it feels awkward, stay with it. This is not pretending. It is practicing your signal, re-becoming the vibration of your becoming. Do this every day. Watch your world begin to echo the real you. Chapter 5. The voice that speaks without words. There is a voice within you that does not speak in sentences. It speaks in sensations, in symbols, in silence. And when you learn to listen, the entire universe begins to speak back. There is a language beyond language, a voice that predates sound, predates story, predates all that you've been taught to trust. It is not housed in the mouth or the mind, but in the marrow, in the pulse, in the vast cathedral of your inner knowing. It does not shout, it does not explain, and yet it speaks more truth in one flicker of intuition than 1,000 spoken sermons. This is the voice that has been guiding you all along. Before you had a name, before you had a narrative, before you were told who to be or how to move in the world, you heard it. As a child, it came easily, in dreams, in sudden stillness, in the way your body knew when something was wrong or wonderfully right without needing evidence. This was not imagination. This was communion. But the world taught you not to trust it. You were praised for logic, rewarded for repeating, conditioned to ignore the whisper if it didn't match the noise. Slowly, like a candle flickering in the wind, that voice grew faint. Not because it left, but because your attention turned outward, toward noise, toward opinion, toward systems and structures that favored information over intuition. And now, here you are, an adult in a loud world, wondering why manifestation feels hard, why clarity feels distant, why the magic seems missing. It's not missing. You've just forgotten the language. The divine doesn't always speak in words. It speaks in resonance. It speaks in the goosebumps that rise when your soul recognizes truth, in the tears that fall unprovoked when you encounter real beauty, in the way your stomach tightens when you're out of alignment, in the strange magnetic pull towards something you can't explain. This is the voice, not poetic metaphor, literal frequency. It is your compass, your guide, the divine GPS wired into your biology. To manifest in harmony with Source, you must relearn how to hear it. But hearing is the wrong word. It's not about ears, it's about attunement, like sensing temperature, or tasting wind, or feeling time slow in moments of deep presence. This is how the divine speaks, not in English or Sanskrit or sound bites, but in energetic impressions that echo into your body like whispers through water. They don't argue, they don't prove, they just are. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Senna who had a gift for sensing danger before it happened. As a child, she once woke her family at 3 a.m., insisting they leave the house. Minutes after they got out, a fire sparked in the kitchen from a faulty wire. Everyone praised her instinct, but as she got older, they called it paranoia, imagination, anxiety. So she stopped listening. Years later, she found herself in a corporate job that drained her, surrounded by people who celebrated results but ignored intuition. Her body began to protest. Fatigue, migraines, panic without cause. No diagnosis made sense. No therapy seemed to work. Until one day, she sat alone in nature, desperate and exhausted, and whispered to the sky, "What do you want from me?" And there it was. Not a voice, but a feeling. A sensation of spaciousness, of clarity, of peace. She had asked the wrong question. The divine wasn't demanding anything. It was simply waiting for her to feel again, to return to that silent knowing, That space where the voice that speaks without words had always been waiting. She quit her job 3 months later, moved to the coast, became a guide for women rediscovering their inner compass. Not because she had all the answers, but because she finally trusted the voice that did. And that's the lesson. You don't have to hear words. You have to feel alignment. Manifestation isn't a to-do list, it's an attunement, a listening beyond language, a willingness to stop forcing and start following. Because when you trust the voice that doesn't speak, life begins to organize itself around your listening. You'll be guided to places you didn't plan. You'll meet people you couldn't have scheduled. You'll take steps that make no logical sense, but lead to sacred destinations. And the old world will call it coincidence, but your soul will call it memory. You already know this voice. You felt it many times before. The night you walked away from someone without a single reason, yet felt immense relief. The moment you said yes to something that terrified you because your body knew it was right. The day you felt something end, not with words, but with a deep inner knowing that didn't ask for explanation. That's the voice. That's the signal. And it doesn't require evidence. It is the evidence. The truth is, you've never been disconnected. You've only been distracted. But you can come back now. Back to the place where truth lives beneath thought. Where knowing exists without needing to know why. Where manifestation begins not with action, but with awareness. Because when you learn to trust the voice that speaks without words, you no longer chase clarity, you become it. You stop asking for signs because you are the sign. You stop begging for answers because you're already walking in them. You stop doubting your path because it unfolds in real time, one intuitive step at a time. This voice is not rare. It's not mystical. It's not for the chosen few. It's yours. It's always been yours. And it's been waiting. Not for you to be perfect, but for you to be present. So here's what I ask. For one day, turn down the volume on the world. Turn off the opinions. Step away from the formulas. And listen, not for words, for resonance. Notice the places your energy rises. Notice the spaces your body tightens. Notice the people who feel like music and the ones who feel like static. That's the divine voice speaking in sensation. Let it guide you. It may not make sense to others. It may not even make sense to you. But your soul will know. And that's enough. It has always been enough. Sacred practice. The wordless listening ritual. At sunrise or sunset, sit somewhere still, by a window, beneath a tree, beside water, or in silence indoors. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. No affirmations, no prayers. Just presence. Ask nothing. Expect nothing. Just listen. Not with ears, but with energy. After a few minutes, ask this softly in your heart. What does my soul want me to feel today? Then wait. Let a wordless answer rise, not in sentences, but in sensations. Maybe it's a warmth, a color, a pull toward something. Maybe nothing comes. That's okay. The practice is not to hear, it's to trust that the voice speaks, whether or not you're listening perfectly. Repeat for 7 days. You are training the muscle of your mystical ear. The world will begin to shift. Because when you honor the voice that speaks without words, the universe begins to speak your name. Chapter 6. Echoes from the Sacred Field. There is a field beyond form, a living pulse behind perception. Not empty, but full. Not silent, but singing. It speaks in echoes, and those who listen manifest as effortlessly as breathing. Close your eyes, not to shut out the world, but to open to a deeper one. Not imagination, not fantasy, but a real, radiant field of energy that weaves beneath what the eyes can name. This is the sacred field. Not a place on a map, not a metaphor in a mystic's book, but a living, breathing intelligence. The space between your thoughts, the silence that sings beneath your breath, the womb of creation where all things are born in blueprint before they ever become flesh. You've felt it before. In the hush between lightning and thunder, in the stillness of a prayer that doesn't ask, only remembers. In the sudden sense that something unseen is witnessing you, loving you, guiding you, the sacred field is not far away. It is not a temple in a desert or a gate in the clouds. It is here, now, around you, inside you, and, if you dare to believe it, made of you. This field remembers who you are, not the version of you that's been shaped by wounds, roles, or timelines. Not the persona you perform to belong, but the signal beneath your skin, the frequency of the true self, unfiltered, undiminished, unbroken. And within this field, all that is possible already exists. Not someday, not if you're good enough, not when you earn it. Right now, that love you dream of, it lives here. That purpose that keeps tugging at you in quiet hours, it breathes here. That abundance your heart aches for, it's already coded into this invisible web, waiting only for resonance. Because the sacred field is not reactive, it does not reward, it reflects. It mirrors not what you say, but what you believe. Not what you want, but what you embody. It echoes back your dominant frequency, not as punishment, but as precision. You are not being judged by this field. You are being read, scanned, felt, and every thought, every emotion, every belief becomes a note in the song you're broadcasting into the unseen. What happens next? The sacred field listens, and it sings back in kind. This is not mysticism, it is mechanics, quantum alignment, spiritual physics. The moment your inner signal matches the shape of your desire, the field ripples in response. You don't have to chase outcomes. You have to become the version of you who lives in the frequency of what you want. When that alignment clicks into place, manifestation becomes magnetism. Destiny becomes déjà vu. Reality rearranges, not from effort, but from echo. So, how do you tune yourself to this sacred field? You remember. You remember that thoughts are not innocent. They are blueprints. You remember that emotions are not random. They are messengers of alignment or misalignment. You remember that your nervous system is a conductor, and your belief system is the sheet music. You remember that you are already connected. You only forgot how to hear the return signal. And that's where the echo begins. Here's the miracle. The sacred field is always echoing back, even now. That synchronicity? Echo. That stranger who spoke the words you were just thinking? Echo. That moment when a song played that made you cry for no reason? Echo. We tend to dismiss these moments as coincidence, but they are confirmations. Vibrational winks from the universe saying, you are not alone, you are not lost, you are being felt. The more attuned you become, the faster the echo returns. At first it feels slow, like yelling into a canyon and waiting for your voice to come back. But as you clear interference, fear, shame, doubt, contradiction, the echo gets faster, cleaner, eventually instantaneous. You think it, and it comes. You feel it, and it forms. You imagine it, and it unfolds. That is not magic. That is mastery. And it doesn't belong to saints, mystics, or monks. It belongs to you. If you remember, let's do that now. Take a breath. Feel the space around your body. Now feel the space inside it. That space is not empty. It's filled with data, with information, with intelligence. Try this. Bring to mind something you deeply desire, something that has not yet appeared. Now pause. Feel what arises when you picture it. Joy? Resistance? A twinge of disbelief? That's your current signal. The sacred field is reading that, not just your words. So ask yourself, what frequency would I need to live in for this desire to be normal? What emotions would I be feeling if this was already my life? Now, feel that. Even if your mind says it's fake, feel it. Let your body lead the broadcast. Let your energy become fluent in what you long for. Do that enough, and the field will echo it back, not because you forced it, but because you matched it. Remember, the sacred field does not respond to begging. It responds to being. You don't beg the sun to shine. You step outside and receive it. You don't plead with gravity to keep you grounded. You trust it and live accordingly. Why would the laws of spiritual resonance be any different? It's already here. You just have to live in the signal of what you seek. And the field, faithful, brilliant, benevolent, will echo your broadcast in time, in form, in flesh. Here is what you must know. The field is always listening. Your energy is always transmitting. The life you experience is the echo. And it is never punishing you, it is always revealing you. Every block is an unhealed broadcast. Every delay is a request for deeper resonance. Every no is a mirror, asking you to become the version of you who lives in the yes. This is not manifestation. This is remembrance. You are not learning how to create. You are remembering how to tune in. The sacred field is waiting, not with judgment, not with impatience, but with open arms and perfect pitch, ready to echo back the truth of your vibration. So tune in. Hold steady. Let go of how and when and who. Just broadcast. Just be. And listen for the echo. It will come. It must come. Because the sacred field does not lie. It only reflects. Sacred practice. The echo meditation. Each morning, sit for 5 minutes and say aloud or silently, "I am already one with what I seek." Then pause. Breathe into that statement. Let your body feel the frequency of that reality. Do not ask for anything. Do not chase emotion. Simply transmit the signal. Let your life become the prayer. And then, watch for the echoes. They're closer than you think. Chapter 7. The law beneath all other laws. Beneath every commandment, beneath every cosmic principle, beneath every ancient scroll and whispered truth, there lies one law, not written in ink or chiseled in stone, but etched into the fabric of being itself. The law before all others. You become what you accept as real. This is the law that the prophets hinted at, the mystics danced with, the scientists circled around, but could never name. Consciousness is the root of all creation. Not effort, not struggle, not tradition, but the belief you carry in the quietest part of your soul. That is what shapes reality. Every other law bows before this one. The law of attraction, the law of vibration, the law of cause and effect. They are branches. But this is the root. This is the law that governs even the unseen forces. As within, so without. As believed, so received. As accepted, so becomes. Let us not tiptoe around it. You are not a beggar at the altar of the universe. You are the altar. You are the offering. You are the priest in the prayer. And your belief, what you truly accept as real, is the fire that lights the sacred flame. Not what you say out loud, not what you post, not what you wish in a fleeting moment, but what you expect in silence. That is the code. That is the signal. That is the law beneath all other laws. If you believe you are always late, you will find the clock betrays you. If you believe you are unworthy of love, even angels will seem to reject you. If you believe money is scarce, then even abundance will pass you by unnoticed. Not because the world is cruel, but because it must obey your signal. Belief is not passive. It is magnetic. It is architectural. It is the mold that reality is poured into. But the question becomes, where did these beliefs come from? Who gave you the blueprint you are building from? Was it childhood, culture, repetition? Was it someone else's wound wrapped as wisdom? The law does not judge your beliefs. It only reflects them. This is both the terror and the freedom. Because once you understand that reality is following your inner acceptance, then you no longer have to manipulate the outer world. You only need to change your inner law. And that is where power returns to your hands. Let's be clear. You are not manifesting from your words. You are manifesting from your core beliefs. The law beneath all others is this. The world you walk in is molded by the truths you have agreed to. So ask yourself, what have I agreed to? Did I agree to be small? Did I agree that I must hustle endlessly to be worthy? Did I agree that miracles are rare and reserved for others? If so, the law will fulfill that contract. But here's the sacred loophole. You can renegotiate. You can revoke old agreements. You can tear up contracts with fear and unworthiness. You can draft a new inner constitution, one where joy is not earned, one where love is not begged for, one where your frequency shapes the fabric of the day before it even unfolds. This is not spiritual hype. This is ancient architecture. From the Vedas to the Gospel of Thomas, from the Tao to quantum mechanics, the truth hums the same song. The observer influences the observed. And what is belief, if not the deepest form of observation? Not the glance of the eyes, but the gaze of the soul. That's why affirmations alone fall flat. You can repeat, "I am rich," 1,000 times, but if you carry the inner law that says, "I never have enough," the universe obeys the deeper decree. That's why action alone doesn't always manifest. You can work yourself to the bone, but if your internal law says, "I must struggle to survive," you'll sweat for crumbs. Because the universe is not listening to your mouth. It's listening to your marrow. It is listening to the law you live by without thinking. The law you never wrote, but you carry like scripture. So now you must ask yourself, whose law am I living under? The law of trauma? The law of lack? The law of survival? Or the law of divine alignment? The law of sacred abundance? The law that says, "I am the transmitter and the receiver, the source and the vessel, the creator and the creation"? Because here is the deeper truth. You don't need to earn this law. You just need to remember it. It has always been yours. You were born with a cosmic constitution, but the world convinced you to tear it up and sign on the dotted line of limitation, but no more. In this chapter, you are rewriting the law. And what does the new law say? It says, "I am what I repeatedly believe I am." The world is not happening to me. It is responding to me. I do not chase what I desire. I align with it. I do not beg for change. I embody it. I do not fight for my worth. I remember it. Because this law, the one beneath all others, is not enforced by fear or guilt. It is enforced by frequency. Change your frequency, and you have changed the law. And when you change the law, the courtroom of reality reorders itself. Old judgments are overturned. Old patterns are dismissed. Old timelines are dissolved. And a new verdict is passed. You are sovereign. You are sacred. You are the living embodiment of divine law. So walk as if the law bends to your vibration, because it does. Speak as if the universe is taking notes, because it is. Feel as if what you seek is already yours, because it is trying to echo back to you, but it cannot return what you have not yet believed. So, today, lay down the old laws. The laws of waiting, the laws of fear, the laws of maybe someday, and rise into the law beneath all others, the law of I am. Because whatever follows those two words, that is the decree, that is the seed, that is the beginning of worlds. Choose them wisely, speak them boldly, believe them deeply, and watch as reality bows before the law that lives in your spirit. Sacred practice, the law rewritten. Today, write down 3 limiting beliefs you've carried as law. Then, beside each one, write its divine replacement. For example, old law, I have to struggle to succeed. New law, my success flows through alignment, not exhaustion. Old law, I'm not worthy of love. New law, I am love, and love returns to me without resistance. Old law, abundance is rare. New law, I am abundance in form, and life reflects it endlessly. Repeat the new law aloud each morning until it is no longer a statement, but a signal, a frequency, a truth, a world. Chapter 8. The mirror is alive. Look deeply into the glass, not just to see your face, but to witness the reflection of your soul's frequency. The mirror is not passive. It breathes, it listens, it answers. Have you ever noticed how when you wake with a smile, the day seems to smile back? How a moment of kindness you extend is often returned multiplied? Or how sometimes, without a word spoken, A glance from a stranger can feel like a sacred recognition. This is no coincidence. It is the mirror alive, the holographic field in which your inner world paints the outer one. You are not merely seeing your reflection, you are seeing your creation. The universe is a great mirror, and it is constantly reflecting the frequency you broadcast. Not the surface words, not the masks you wear, but the authentic vibration pulsing beneath. The mirror is alive because it is consciousness responding, fluid, dynamic, and intimate. When you stand before a physical mirror, you see the surface, a face, a body, expressions. But the true mirror reflects far more. It reflects your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional weather. The moods you carry become shadows or light cast upon your days. The stories you tell yourself ripple outward, shaping how others treat you, the opportunities you attract, the energy that surrounds you. If the mirror is alive, then what does it show you? It shows you what you are, not what you hope to be. It reflects your current frequency in every moment with perfect accuracy. There is no judgment in this mirror, no critique, no praise. Just pure reflection. And here is the paradox. If you don't like what you see in the reflection of your life, the answer is not to curse the mirror, but to change the signal you send, to change what you are holding inside. Once, there was a woman named Amara who believed herself invisible. Not in the physical sense, but in the sense that the world ignored her presence. She worked hard, gave her best, but felt perpetually unseen, unheard, unnoticed. The mirror of her life showed loneliness and lack. One day, frustrated, she stood before her bedroom mirror and spoke aloud. "Why don't they see me? Why don't I matter?" Tears blurred her eyes, but then a quiet voice arose within. "Because you have not seen yourself." That was the beginning. Amara began to treat the mirror not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Each morning, she looked deeply and practiced seeing beyond her reflection. She acknowledged the fear, the pain, but also whispered affirmations of worth and visibility. She began to carry herself as if she was already noticed, already valued. And slowly, the mirror responded. Small gestures of recognition at work, friendly smiles from strangers, invitations she hadn't received before. Her reflection in the world began to change because her reflection within was shifting. This is the essence of the holographic mirror. As within, so without. The world is not separate from you. It is an extension of your internal landscape. This sacred understanding changes everything. When you feel stuck, it is because your inner mirror is clouded. When you feel lost, it is because your reflection has been obscured by old wounds and limiting beliefs. When you feel joy, it is because your internal frequency matches the vibration of life itself. To manifest your desires, then, is to clean your mirror, to polish away the fog of fear, to clear the dust of doubt, to wipe away the smudges of resentment. But how? It begins with awareness. First, notice what your mirror is showing. What patterns keep repeating? What stories keep playing? Where is the reflection stale, shadowed, or dim? Then, choose to change your inner state, not by forcing, but by feeling. By shifting your beliefs, your emotions, your self-image. Because the mirror doesn't lie. If you want abundance, embody abundance. If you want love, embody love. If you want peace, embody peace. It's not about pretending, but about returning to who you truly are beneath the layers of condition and story. This is why many spiritual teachers say, change yourself, change your world, because the mirror is alive and it's responding right now, this moment, to the energy you carry. Your thoughts are not just mental. Your feelings are not just emotional. They are vibrational codes. You are the programmer of your reflection. And here is the most beautiful truth. The mirror does not tire of your attempts. It does not give up on you. It always offers a new reflection, one waiting for you to step into it. Every moment is an invitation to align, to shift, to rise. Imagine, just for a moment, the mirror as a river. You are standing at its edge, looking into the water. If you throw stones of anger or despair, the surface ripples and distorts. But if you gently place your hand in the water with calm, the river flows smoothly and reflects the sky clearly. That river is your inner state. The mirror is never fixed. It is fluid, responsive, alive. When you choose peace inside, the river settles. When you choose love inside, the reflection blooms. When you choose joy inside, the world around you smiles back. This is the creative power you hold. So the question becomes, what reflection do you want to walk in today? What vibration do you want to send into the living mirror? Because the mirror is not just a reflection, it is a conversation. And the way you speak to it, through your thoughts, your feelings, your presence, determines what it says back. Sacred practice, mirror reflection ritual. Each morning, stand before a mirror for 5 minutes. Look deeply into your own eyes. Notice not just your face, but the energy behind it. Speak aloud or silently. I see you. I accept you. I honor the signal you carry. Allow any emotion to rise without judgment. If you notice fear or doubt, gently acknowledge it and then say, I release you. I choose peace. I choose love. I choose to reflect my highest truth. Repeat this practice for 7 days, allowing your mirror to become a sacred space of transformation rather than judgment. Watch how your external world begins to echo this internal clearing. Chapter 9. Dreams that remember you back. When the world sleeps, another realm awakens, where time folds and silence sings, and the soul remembers what the mind forgets. Dreams are the echoes of your true self, calling you back to the frequency you've always been. Dreams are not just random images flickering behind closed eyes. They are sacred transmissions from the unseen field, whispering truths too vast for waking words. They are messages in a language older than language itself. Vibrations from your higher self, from the divine matrix, from the pulse of creation. Have you ever woken from a dream feeling both lost and found? A dream where faces, places, or feelings seemed familiar beyond memory, like you were being remembered by something deep inside you. That is the soul's song, the voice of the divine broadcasting across the boundaries of sleep and waking, calling you back home. Dreams are not merely personal. They are universal. They are a dialogue between your inner world and the vast cosmic field. In that silent theater of night, your subconscious weaves together symbols, emotions, and fragments of light to guide you. It reminds you of your true frequency, the one you wore before the world told you who to be. The modern mind often dismisses dreams as nonsense or distraction, but the ancients revered dreams as sacred portals. The Egyptians believed dreams were visits from the gods. The Greeks called them messages from the divine realm. Indigenous peoples saw them as maps to healing and prophecy. And science today begins to glimpse their power, discovering that dreams consolidate memory, process emotion, and connect us to information beyond our daily senses. But beyond all this lies a deeper truth. Dreams remember you back to your soul. Let me share a story. There was a man named Elias who had long stopped trusting his dreams. Night after night, he tossed and turned, haunted by fragmented visions he couldn't understand. He saw cities made of light, rivers flowing backward, voices calling his name from shadowed woods. At first, he ignored them. He feared they were madness or stress. But the dreams persisted, growing more vivid, more urgent. One night, in a dream, Elias found himself in a vast library, a cathedral of infinite books and glowing manuscripts. A voice whispered, "Remember who you are." He woke with a start, heart pounding, feeling both scared and alive. That moment shifted everything. Elias began a practice of journaling his dreams without judgment. He learned to sit quietly each morning and listen to their echoes. Slowly, the dreams transformed, from confusion to clarity, from chaos to wisdom. He discovered that the dreams were a sacred frequency, a channel from his deeper self, reminding him of his divine power to create and manifest. His waking life began to change. Opportunities appeared that felt guided by unseen hands. Challenges dissolved with grace. He no longer felt lost, but part of a greater design. This is the gift of dreams. They do not just reveal your future. They remember your future for you, before your waking mind can catch up. They tune you back into the divine broadcast that flows beneath all of existence. But how do you listen? How do you remember? First, you must honor the sacred space between sleep and waking, that fragile moment where the veil thins and the soul can speak most clearly. When you wake, Remain still for a few moments. Don't rush to your phone or your day. Instead, breathe gently and call to mind the images, feelings, or words that linger from the night. Let them come without force. Let them settle like morning dew on your consciousness. Write them down. Even fragments, even nonsense, even the parts that confuse you. This practice opens the channel. It trains you to receive the frequencies your soul is sending. Second, cultivate trust. Dreams often speak in metaphor, in symbols that may seem strange or unsettling. Yet every symbol holds a key, a vibrational code. Rather than reject what you don't understand, ask, what is this feeling trying to teach me? Where does this symbol lead me in my heart? Over time, you begin to decode your dreams, and they become a roadmap, a sacred GPS guiding you toward alignment. Third, approach dreams with reverence. Create a ritual around sleep, perhaps a soft chant, a prayer, or lighting a candle. Ask for clarity, protection, and openness. Know that dreams are not passive experiences. They are co-created. The more you invite their wisdom, the more they will remember you. Remember, your dreams are not random. They are not chaotic. They are part of the unseen pulse of your manifestation. They are your soul's way of tuning the frequency, adjusting the signal, and broadcasting your truth to the universe. So tonight, when you close your eyes, invite your dreams to remember you. Ask them to speak your language. Ask them to bring the echoes of your highest self into the waking world. And when you awaken, listen with an open heart. Because in that listening, you remember not just your dreams, but the dreamer. You remember the pulse beneath the pulse. You remember the voice that speaks without words. You remember the law beneath all laws. You remember who you are. Sacred practice. Dream remembering ritual. Before sleep, set a simple intention. I open myself to receive the wisdom of my dreams. Keep a journal and pen beside your bed. Upon waking, lie still for a few breaths, then write down anything you recall, images, emotions, words, or sensations. Don't judge or analyze immediately, simply record. Over days and weeks, patterns will emerge. Reflect on these patterns gently. Allow them to guide your waking decisions, your spiritual practice, and your manifestations. Know that your dreams are your soul's sacred broadcast, tuning you back into the divine frequency. Chapter 10. Time is not what you think. Time is a river that flows only in the mind, but the soul swims in oceans without end. What you call past, present, and future are merely ripples on the eternal sea of now, and the power to manifest lies in this timeless pulse. We are taught to believe time is a rigid line, a relentless arrow moving from yesterday to tomorrow, dragging us along whether we like it or not. The clock ticks, the calendar flips, and we imagine our lives constrained by the hours, days, and years that march forward. But what if time is not a prison? What if it is an illusion crafted by the mind, a story told to keep us small? Look closely. The past you remember, the future you imagine. These are constructs of thought. They exist only because you hold them in your awareness. The present moment, however, is the only true reality. It is the sacred space where creation breathes and miracles unfold. Ancient mystics, quantum physicists, and spiritual teachers alike have pointed to the truth that time is not linear. It is a dimension fluid and vast, accessible through consciousness. When you shift your awareness, you can bend time. You can step outside the sequence and access realities beyond the ticking clock. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Mira, who lived her life bound by schedules and deadlines, always chasing the next thing, always fearing the future. One day, she met a teacher who said, "Time is not your enemy, it is your ally, once you learn its true nature." Skeptical but curious, Mira began a practice of deep meditation, where she allowed herself to enter the space between moments. There, she felt a stillness so profound it was as if time had stopped. In that timeless space, she saw visions of her future, her past, and infinite possibilities unfolding simultaneously. She realized that the moment she lived in was not separate from the future she desired. It was the seedbed from which all futures sprouted. With this awareness, Mira stopped rushing. She learned to plant her desires firmly in the soil of now, watering them with presence and trust. Slowly, her life began to shift, not by frantic effort, but by alignment with the timeless pulse beneath time. This is the paradox. Time, as you know it, is a framework designed to help you navigate the physical world, but manifestation happens outside of it. Your dreams, your desires, your soul's calling, all exist in a realm where past, present, and future converge. To manifest from this place, you must release your attachment to linear time. You must learn to live in the eternal now. This does not mean ignoring the practicalities of life, but it means understanding that your power to create does not depend on the clock. When you believe that your manifestations must follow a schedule, you limit the flow of the universe. When you grasp too tightly to timing, you create resistance. But when you surrender to the timeless moment, magic happens. Have you ever noticed how sometimes a solution appears instantly, as if out of nowhere? Or how a coincidence aligns perfectly to deliver exactly what you need? That is time bending to your frequency. That is the universe responding to your presence in the now. The law beneath all laws respects no calendar. It honors no deadlines. It only honors your alignment in the present moment. Here's a profound truth. The future you desire already exists as a potential waveform vibrating in the quantum field. Your job is not to chase it in time, but to tune into it in the now. To embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, regardless of the hour or day. To carry the frequency of your desired reality as if it is already here. This shifts your energy, causing time to collapse. The space between desire and fulfillment shrinks. Manifestation accelerates. It is not magic or luck. It is mastery of time's true nature. You become a conductor, orchestrating moments across the timeless field. So how do you access this? Begin by practicing presence. When you feel rushed, pause. Breathe deeply. Remind yourself, this moment is all I have. From here, anchor your intention. Feel it as if it is happening now. Visualize yourself living your dream with all senses awake. Let go of when it will come. Trust that, in the eternal now, it already is. This is the secret many overlook. You do not need to wait for the perfect moment. You are the perfect moment. This awareness dissolves impatience, anxiety, and doubt. It replaces them with peace, certainty, and flow. You stop pushing against the current and start swimming with the tide. The tide of timeless manifestation. And remember, sometimes the universe tests your patience, not to deny you, but to deepen your alignment. In those moments, return to your breath. Return to your calm. Return to the truth that time is not what you think. That you are a being beyond clocks. A creator beyond schedules. A soul riding the eternal pulse. The moment you fully accept this, you step into a new realm of power. Manifestations no longer depend on timing because you have mastered time itself. You live as the now, and in that now, all things are possible. Sacred practice, the timeless presence meditation. Find a comfortable seat. Close your eyes. Take several deep, grounding breaths. As you breathe, imagine time slowing around you. Feel the rush of minutes, hours, and days soften into a vast, eternal present. Silently repeat, I am here. I am now. All time serves my highest good. Allow this presence to expand beyond your body. Feel yourself connected to past wisdom and future possibilities, all contained in this moment. Rest here for 10 minutes. When you open your eyes, carry this timeless awareness into your day. Remember, you are not bound by time. You create time. Chapter 11. The body remembers the broadcast. The body is not just flesh and bone. It is a living archive, a sacred vessel, etched with the frequencies of every thought, every feeling, every unspoken word. It remembers the broadcast long after the mind forgets. When we think of manifestation, it's easy to focus solely on the mind, our thoughts, beliefs, and conscious desires. Yet the body, that miraculous temple housing your spirit, holds far more than muscle and skin. It carries the imprint of your entire energetic history. It is a receiver and transmitter of frequencies, a map of your inner landscape expressed in cellular memory. Every experience, every vibration you emit, becomes etched into your cells, your tissues, your very DNA. The body remembers. Have you ever walked into a place and felt an inexplicable heaviness, a tension in your chest, or an unexpected flush of joy? These sensations are the body's way of tuning into the unseen broadcast, messages sent and received through subtle energy. Our ancestors understood this deeply. Indigenous healers spoke of the body as a living library. Eastern traditions describe the body as a field of energy centers, or chakras, each storing emotion and spiritual essence. Modern science reveals epigenetics, the way trauma, stress, and beliefs alter gene expression passed down through generations. The body is a receiver of the frequencies you broadcast. It listens in silence and responds with feeling. And when your body carries discordant frequencies, fear, doubt, pain, manifestation becomes blocked. The mind's intentions struggle to reach through, like a radio signal lost in static. But when the body is aligned, grounded, and open, it amplifies your frequency. It becomes a sacred antenna tuning you into the divine broadcast of creation itself. Let me share a story. There was a man named Kiran who sought abundance for years. He read books, repeated affirmations, and visualized wealth with devotion, yet nothing shifted. One day, during a healing retreat, he was guided to connect deeply with his body, to listen, to feel, to remember. As he closed his eyes, he noticed a tightness in his chest, a knot of anxiety that pulsed with every breath. This was a frequency he had carried since childhood, a hidden broadcast of scarcity and fear. For the first time, Kiran didn't resist. He breathed into the tension, welcoming it like an old friend. Slowly, the knot began to loosen. He allowed tears, anger, and release. Through this somatic remembering, Kiran rewrote his internal signal. The body shifted from resistance to surrender. In the weeks that followed, abundance began to flow. Not just external riches, but vitality, connection, and joy. Because the body remembers the broadcast, and when healed, it can retune you to your highest frequency. This is why spiritual practice without body awareness often falls short. The mind can imagine a new reality, but if the body carries old imprints, the manifestation stalls. The body is the ground zero of creation. It is where spirit meets matter. It is where belief becomes flesh. To manifest fully, you must listen to the body's whispers, the aches, the tightness, the restlessness, and honor them as sacred signals. These sensations are not obstacles to push through, but messages to receive. They are the language of the unseen broadcast. When you learn to decode your body's signals, you open a gateway to profound transformation. The body remembers not only your fears and traumas, but also your joys and triumphs. It holds the memory of every moment you felt aligned, loved, and free. These memories are your secret power. When you call them forth, through breath, movement, or touch, they amplify your manifestation signal. The body is not a passive vessel, but an active participant in your spiritual journey. This is why practices like yoga, dance, breathwork, and somatic healing are so potent. They awaken the body's memory and reprogram the frequencies you emit. The breath, in particular, is a bridge. It carries the pulse of life and carries it into every cell. With conscious breath, you can shift old patterns stored deep within. Feel the inhale as a wave of light flowing through your veins. Feel the exhale as a cleansing river, washing away stagnant energy. This simple act reconnects you to the divine broadcast. You become a living transmitter of your desires. But it is not just about clearing pain or releasing trauma. It is also about charging your body with the frequency of what you want to create. Imagine your body as a crystal, receptive and radiant. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, vibrates through this crystal. The clearer and more coherent your frequency, the brighter the light you emit. This light attracts like energy, drawing your manifestations to you effortlessly. So how do you cultivate this sacred bodily connection? Begin by slowing down. Listen deeply. Ask your body what it needs to feel safe, loved, and alive. You might notice tightness in the shoulders or heaviness in the stomach. Place your hand on these areas and breathe into them. Offer gratitude to your body for its wisdom and resilience. Move your body in ways that feel good. Stretch, dance, walk, barefoot, or simply rest. Honor your body as the sacred antenna it is. Allow it to receive the divine broadcast fully. Because when your body remembers the broadcast, miracles unfold. Your energy aligns. Your spirit awakens. Your reality shifts. You no longer struggle to manifest because you are the manifestation. Your body sings the frequency of your soul's deepest desire. This is the forgotten secret of manifestation. The body remembers before the mind understands. It holds the blueprint of your transformation. It carries the sacred imprint of your dreams becoming flesh. So today, listen to your body. Trust its signals. Let it guide you home to the frequency you were born to live. For in this remembering, you reclaim your power. You become whole. You tune into the divine broadcast. And you manifest with grace beyond words. Sacred practice. The body awareness broadcast. Find a quiet space. Sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes and take several slow, deep breaths. Scan your body from head to toe. Notice any areas of tension, discomfort, or emotion. Without judgment, breathe into those areas. Visualize light flowing into every cell, dissolving blockages and igniting vitality. Then, imagine your body as a radiant crystal broadcasting your highest frequency into the universe. Silently affirm, "My body remembers the divine broadcast. I am a living transmitter of my highest reality." Sit with this feeling for 10 minutes. When you open your eyes, carry this sacred bodily awareness into your day. Feel yourself aligned, grounded, and fully tuned to the frequency of manifestation. Chapter 12. Whispers from the Quantum Womb. Before the first light, before form takes shape, there is a womb, a sacred void, a cradle of infinite possibility where all creation begins. Within its silent depths, whispers stir, the primal murmurs of what is yet to be. Imagine a place beyond space, beyond time, where all potentials rest in perfect harmony. This is the quantum womb, a field of pure possibility, unmanifested but alive with vibration. Here, every dream, every intention, every prayer exists as a shimmering seed waiting to be born into reality. The quantum womb is the silent broadcaster of your soul's deepest desires. It holds the blueprint of your entire life, past, present, and future, all woven together in a cosmic dance of energy and intent. Yet, most of us live unaware of this sacred source. We are tangled in the surface world, caught in the illusion of separation, struggling to force outcomes through sheer will. But true manifestation does not come from struggle. It comes from listening. Listening to the whispers from the quantum womb. These whispers are subtle, like the breath of the universe itself, soft yet powerful. They are encoded in intuition, synchronicities, dreams, and the gentle nudges of the heart. When you learn to hear these whispers, you enter a partnership with creation. You move from being a desperate seeker to a conscious co-creator. Let me share a story. There was a woman named Amara who longed to change her life, but felt stuck in old patterns. One night, during a meditation, she was guided inward to a place beyond thought and form. There, she found herself floating in a vast, dark ocean, silent, deep, and endless. As she sank deeper, she heard faint murmurs, voices of possibility, fragments of future selves, echoes of unrealized dreams. She realized she was inside the quantum womb, the place before birth where her intentions could take root. Amara learned to listen with patience and trust. She allowed the whispers to grow louder, to shape her vision from within. And when she returned to waking life, she carried the clarity and peace of the womb's sacred silence. Her manifestations began to unfold effortlessly, not by force, but by alignment. This is the gift of the quantum womb. It does not demand your struggle. It invites your surrender. The paradox is profound. In surrender, you find power. In silence, you find the voice of creation. In emptiness, you find fullness. The quantum womb teaches you that all things begin as a thought, a feeling, a vibration, a seed planted in the fertile soil of the unseen. From this seed grows your reality. But the seed needs nourishment. It needs your attention and your faith. Your doubts and fears are like weeds choking the tender shoot. Your trust and presence are like sunlight and rain, helping it grow strong. So how do you cultivate this sacred listening? Begin by cultivating stillness. Create space in your day to retreat inward. Sit in silence. Breathe deeply. Let your mind rest like a calm lake. Then, bring your attention to the subtle sensations inside you. Notice any feelings, images, or intuitions arising. These are the whispers of the quantum womb. They speak not in words, but in feeling. They guide, not by logic, but by resonance. Your role is to receive, to hold the space of openness and trust. This is not always easy. The mind wants to control, to analyze, to hurry the process. But the womb works in its own time, on its own rhythm. You must become patient. You must become still. You must become a sacred vessel. When you do, the quantum womb shares its wisdom. It reveals the next step, the hidden path, the right timing. It reveals that manifestation is not just about outcome, but about becoming the frequency that births your desires. Remember, the quantum womb is infinite potential. It is the birthplace of your dreams. It is the silent broadcaster of your soul's truth. When you tune into its whispers, you align with the creative pulse of the universe. You tap into the source code of existence. And you realize that creation is not something you do alone. It is a dance with the divine, a sacred communion between your will and the cosmic will, a partnership where you surrender control and receive guidance. This is the ultimate secret of manifestation: to listen deeply, to trust fully, and to act in harmony with the whispers from the quantum womb. Your life is the unfolding of this sacred dance. The more you open, the more you receive. The more you trust, the more you create. And in this creation, you remember your true self. You remember that you are not separate. You are not isolated. You are a living expression of the infinite, a spark of the eternal fire, a co-creator in the great mystery. So today, I invite you to enter the quantum womb, to listen to the whispers beneath the noise, to trust the silence that speaks, to nurture the seed of your deepest desire, and to move forward with faith that all things are unfolding as they must. Because the whispers from the quantum womb are not just echoes of possibility, they are the promise of manifestation. They are the breath of your becoming, the pulse of your creation, the sacred broadcast of your soul. Sacred practice: listening to the quantum womb. Find a quiet, comfortable space. Close your eyes and take 5 deep, slow breaths. Imagine yourself sinking into a vast, dark ocean, weightless, safe, and infinite. Invite your awareness to soften. Listen for the subtle whispers, images, feelings, intuitions that arise from this space. Do not judge or analyze, simply receive. Allow any messages to come through in their own time. Rest in this space for 10 to 15 minutes. When you feel ready, gently return your awareness to your body and surroundings. Carry the peace and clarity of the quantum womb with you. Trust that the whispers you received will guide your next steps in manifestation. Chapter 13. The Surrendered Architect. You are the builder of unseen realms. Not with brick or blueprint, but with belief, with breath, with stillness, with surrender. In every moment, you are constructing reality. Not just with your hands or your speech, but with your thoughts, emotions, and frequency. You are the architect, but not the kind who labors in resistance, carving stone with sweat and force. You are the surrendered architect, one who understands the sacred paradox. You create most powerfully when you release control. You manifest most clearly when you allow, not command. You receive the divine design not by striving, but by listening. Surrender is not weakness. It is not apathy. It is not defeat. It is divine alignment. It is stepping back from the illusion of separation and letting Source draw through you. It is handing the pen back to the cosmic author who has always written through your hand. You are not here to force the blueprint. You are here to feel into it, to listen to what wants to be born through you. Just like a sculptor removes the excess from stone to reveal what was always within, the surrendered architect doesn't impose. They reveal. They unveil. They allow. They know that the design is already complete in the field of the unseen. Your desire is not a hope. It is a memory from the future. Let that sink in. Your longing is not something you're chasing. It is something already built in the timeless dimension. And your surrender is how you let it cross into this one. Most people mistake surrender for giving up. But true surrender is the giving over your limited vision for the infinite, giving over your timeline for the divine unfolding, giving over your doubt for faith so deep it doesn't demand proof. The surrendered architect walks with trust, not urgency. They don't scream at the sky. They whisper inward, "Show me the next beam, the next brick." And the universe answers, softly at first. A door opens. A person appears. A vision returns in a dream. A moment of clarity arises in stillness. That's how you know you're surrendering correctly, not because things are easy, but because they flow. The surrendered architect allows life to build itself through them. There's a story. A man named Elias once tried to build the life of his dreams with force. Every step was planned, calculated, timed. He visualized obsessively, controlled tightly, and grew angry when things didn't unfold in his image. His vision didn't manifest. Frustrated, he gave up. He fell into despair, into silence, into solitude. And in that stillness, something shifted. He began to hear the whispers again, not from his ego, but from the divine. He let go of how it should happen and started asking why it wanted to happen. The answer came, not in thunder, but in warmth. He was not the source of creation, he was the portal. Elias began to live differently. He moved with intuition, not obligation. He built each day with presence, not pressure. And slowly, life began to mirror his inner surrender. He became the architect, not of structure, but of space. Space for grace to enter. Space for the divine to design. Space for miracles to move. This is the art of the surrendered architect. When you release your grip on the blueprint, the real design reveals itself. More magnificent, more magical than your mind could have imagined. You begin to see signs everywhere. Not coincidences, but confirmations. Because surrender sharpens your spiritual eyes. It tunes you into a higher language, a frequency where reality speaks in feeling, not form. And the more you surrender, the more you remember. You are not building to prove. You are building to reveal. To reveal the divine signature hidden within you. To reveal the encoded gifts seated before your birth. To reveal the sacred structure of your soul's temple. And here's the mystery. When you surrender, you still act, but not from fear. You still build, but not from force. You still move, but now it's an orchestrated movement, a divine choreography. The right words, the right timing, the right opportunities. Not created by control, but summoned by stillness. The surrendered architect knows that miracles are not rare, they're just subtle. And to receive them, you must stop pushing and start perceiving. You must trust that not every delay is denial. Some delays are redirections. Some no's are hidden yeses. Some closed doors are saving you from smaller rooms. Can you hold the plan loosely enough that it can grow wings? Can you become quiet enough that the design builds through you, not just around you? This chapter is your invitation to stop trying to be the hammer and become the hollow flute. To let the divine wind pass through and make its music. Because when you truly surrender, you don't lose control. You remember who the true builder has always been. You are not here to micromanage the mystery. You are here to merge with it. To be the one who lays down the ego's ruler and picks up the soul's compass. To ask not, what should I build, but what wants to build through me? And to trust that the answer will not always come in language, but in feeling, in peace, in resonance. So pause now. Breathe. Imagine holding the blueprint of your life in your hands, and gently, lovingly, place it on the altar of the divine. Say with your spirit, "Here I am the vessel, use me. Shape this life not in the image of my fear, but in the image of my highest frequency." Then listen. The next brick will be placed. The next door will open. The next part of your temple will rise. You are the surrendered architect, and your cathedral is already being built. Sacred practice, building without force. Each morning for the next 7 days, ask, what wants to be built through me today? Don't ask what you should do. Ask what wants to emerge. Then notice what arises. Feelings, ideas, signs. Act only on what resonates with deep peace. Keep a journal of these daily whispers and synchronicities. Watch as a new design begins to take shape, effortlessly, beautifully, and beyond logic. Because when you build with surrender, you don't just manifest what you want, you become who you were always meant to be. Chapter 14. The dimension hidden in plain sight. It is not far. It is not out there. It is not another world, but a frequency beneath this one, a world within this world. There exists a dimension so close to you that you could reach it with a breath. Not in some distant galaxy, not in a hidden cave, not locked in the future, but layered inside this very moment, stacked like a transparent overlay upon your everyday life. A sacred frequency, a divine wavelength, the hidden realm of the real. You felt it before. In the stillness between two thoughts. In the goosebumps when truth brushes your skin. In a dream that felt more real than waking. In the way the light dances on water and suddenly everything makes sense. This is the dimension hidden in plain sight. The mystics called it the kingdom. The ancients called it the veil. Science now whispers of it as the quantum field. But no label can define what can only be experienced. This is not the world you see with your eyes. This is the world you sense with your soul. In this hidden dimension, all things are already connected. Time folds. Distance dissolves. Desires already exist. And the line between thought and reality? Barely there. You are never disconnected from this place. You only forget to tune in. Like a radio, you are surrounded by frequencies. The news, the noise, the nostalgia. But just because a station is silent doesn't mean it isn't broadcasting. You must learn to retune, to step out of the surface static and drop into the sacred signal. And how do you do that? Not by force, not by control, but by awareness. To enter the hidden dimension, you must slow your perception. You must become subtle. You must start to notice what most ignore. The way a stranger's glance carries a message. The pattern in repeated numbers you keep seeing. The song that plays just when you need it. The dream that visits and stays with you longer than logic allows. These are not accidents. These are echoes from the hidden layer. Your soul is fluent in this language. It is your mind that must remember how to listen, because the dimension hidden in plain sight doesn't shout, it whispers. It paints truth in symbols. It wraps insight in metaphor. It reveals not in complexity, but in simplicity so pure, it leaves you breathless. A leaf trembling in the wind may hold more power than 1,000 sermons. A child's laughter might teach you more about God than 1,000 books. This is the dimension of vibration, not explanation. Of knowing, not analyzing. It's where miracles are not exceptions, but laws. Where manifestation is not magic, but mechanics. Because in this realm, belief bends matter. Expectation shapes outcome. Imagination writes the code of creation. You don't visit this dimension with your body. You arrive with your awareness. And you've already been there. Every time you felt something before it happened. Every time your heart told you to go left when logic said right. Every time you created something from nowhere, and it changed everything. You've been there. You just didn't realize it had a name. You just didn't know it was home. In the forgotten frequency, you remember, you are not separate from what you seek. You are not outside of the universe looking in. You are within it, and it is within you. Here, manifestation is not a tool, it's a natural consequence. Here, your vibration is your prayer. Your emotion is your engine. Your imagination is the interface. But here's the challenge. This world hides from the rushing. It vanishes from the doubting. It cloaks itself from those who demand proof before presence. To enter, you must soften. You must slow your breath, still your tongue, and quiet your need to control. It is not found in effort, but in elegance. Not in intellect, but in intimacy. You must fall in love with the now. Because the doorway to the dimension is always now. Never later. Never someday. Always now. In this moment, beneath your thoughts, behind your distractions. The doorway is open. Can you feel it? The tingling? The pull? That strange sense that something greater is brushing against your awareness? That's not fantasy. That's frequency. That's the real you remembering itself. Let's go deeper. There are layers to this world. The physical, form, matter, action. The mental, thoughts, logic, will. The emotional, feeling, energy, momentum. The vibrational, intention, alignment, truth. And then, the hidden dimension, pure awareness, source resonance. When you operate from the bottom up, you chase. You hustle. You worry. You try to force life to bend. But when you live from the top down, you become a channel. You don't force, you align. You don't chase, you attract. You don't hustle, you harmonize. And reality bends, not because you manipulated it, but because you matched it. This is the secret of the dimension in plain sight. It does not respond to who you pretend to be. It responds to your deepest resonance. It reflects your truest frequency, whether you're aware of it or not. So if you want to change what shows up, don't change the mirror. Change what's looking into it. Shift from, what do I want, to, what do I believe is already true. Shift from, when will it come, to, how can I feel it now. Shift from, show me proof, to, show me alignment. And the hidden dimension will reveal itself. Not in fire, not in lightning, but in peace, so profound, you'll weep. You'll see the world differently. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You'll realize the veil was never outside. It was woven into your perception. And when you pierce it, life becomes art. Every conversation becomes sacred. Every problem becomes a puzzle piece. Every moment becomes a message. You no longer walk through the world, you walk with it. You're not a separate observer. You're a co-creator, a transmitter, a divine receiver. And the more you live this way, the more you realize there are no ordinary moments. There is no such thing as just a coincidence. Every breath is a doorway. Every silence is a sermon. Every heartbeat is a signal from the source. You don't need to escape this world to find magic. You just need to tune in, because the most powerful dimension was always hidden in plain sight. Practice piercing the veil. For the next 72 hours, treat every moment as sacred. When something random happens, pause. Ask, if this were a message, what would it be saying? Keep a small notebook. Title it, Messages from the Hidden Dimension. Write down signs, patterns, intuitions. At the end of the 3 days, read through them. You'll start to see you were never alone. You were always being guided. You just had to open the inner eye. Chapter 15. Emotion as the Language of Creation. Before a word was spoken, before a thought took form, there was feeling. Raw, real, radiant. Emotion, the original tongue of the universe. You were never meant to think your world into being. You were meant to feel it. Creation doesn't begin in the mind. It begins in the heartbeat. Long before your thoughts turn into plans, before your words echo out in desire, before your actions move mountains, there is emotion, humming like a tuning fork in the depths of your being. Emotion is not a reaction. It is a signal. It is the language the universe speaks fluently. It does not respond to your empty affirmations. It responds to the frequency behind your words. You can say, I am abundant, with your lips. But if your heart is crying lack, the field listens to the cry, not the confession. Because the quantum doesn't hear your sentences. It feels your state. The vibration of your emotion is the prayer. Your belief is the ink, but your emotion is the signature that seals the request. You are not simply flesh and thought. You are a broadcasting tower, and what you feel is what you send. Each emotion is a code. Gratitude is the frequency of receiving. Joy is the frequency of alignment. Love is the frequency of expansion. Peace is the frequency of surrender. Wonder is the frequency of revelation. When you sit in these frequencies, not forcefully, not performatively, but genuinely, cellularly, soul deep, the field rearranges itself around you. Your reality begins to mimic your emotional tone. This is why two people can say the same words. Note www.com. One transforms, the other stays stuck. Because the field does not copy language. It copies vibration. The mind will ask, "What do I want?" But the soul already knows. What do I need to feel? Wanting something while vibrating with fear creates resistance. Grasping for love while feeling unworthy pushes it away. Chasing abundance while anchored in doubt keeps you poor, no matter your hustle. The truth? You manifest what you feel to be true. Not what you beg for. Not what you visualize once. But what you become emotionally, moment after moment. So ask yourself now, not, "What do I want?" but, "What emotion would that reality give me?" You want money, why? Maybe for safety. You want love? Why? Perhaps to feel cherished. You want purpose. Why? To feel fulfilled. So don't wait for the thing. Go straight to the emotion. Feel safe now. Feel cherished now. Feel fulfilled now. Emotion is not the result of manifestation. It is the gateway to it. This is the reversal that changes everything. You no longer wait for the miracle to feel joy. You feel joy, and the miracle must follow. Because in this quantum dance, your frequency writes your script, and your emotion is the ink. Let this sink in. You are not a passive observer. You are a composer, and your emotional state is the score being played by creation itself. Can you feel the power in that? Emotion is the bridge between the seen and the unseen. It is not weakness. It is not noise. It is divine navigation. Every time you feel aligned, excited, alive, you are being pulled by the thread of destiny. Every time you feel drained, resentful, restricted, you are receiving feedback. You've strayed from your resonance. It's not punishment. It's a compass. Feelings are messages. Ignore them, and you wander. Honor them, and you accelerate. So how do you master this emotional language? Not by suppression, not by control, but by listening. Start each morning not by checking your to-do list, but by asking, "What am I feeling today?" Then, "What frequency do I choose to embody?" Don't chase high vibes artificially. Feel what's true. Then shift with love, not shame. If grief is present, greet it. If fear is present, hold it. But then, transmute it. Feel into the higher truth. I am still worthy. I am still connected. I am still creating, even now. Your emotions are like instruments, each with its own role. Sadness softens you. Anger awakens you. Joy expands you. Love integrates you. Don't fear them. Tune them. Because just like a musician crafts melody from chaos, you too can turn your emotion into artful alignment. Let's go deeper. There is a spectrum of emotional states, from despair to delight, from shame to sovereignty. You are always somewhere on that spectrum, and your creations match your place. Don't try to leap from fear to ecstasy overnight. Climb gently, from despair to anger to courage to hope to joy. Each emotional upgrade shifts the field around you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to shift. Tiny upgrades matter. One breath of gratitude can ripple into a new timeline. One moment of laughter can magnetize a miracle. One tear of surrender can collapse a barrier you've held for years. You are not bound by your past emotional patterns. You are not a prisoner of old trauma. You are the alchemist. And emotion is your gold. The universe is not testing you. It is responding to your signal. And the clearest signal you can send? I feel it now. Not, I hope one day. Not, if only. But I choose to feel the reality I desire before it arrives. Because, in the quantum, feeling is believing. And when you believe emotionally, you summon the particles of creation. You call the reality to collapse into form. You shape the unseen into substance. This is the hidden key behind all manifestation teachings. They are not about techniques. They are about states of being. So do not just visualize, emotionalize. Do not just affirm, embody. Do not just ask, feel as if it is already yours. Then it will be. Not because you forced the universe, but because you became the vibrational match to your highest timeline. The law is this. Emotion is the access code. Your frequency is the command. And creation obeys what you feel most deeply. So now, close your eyes. Breathe. Feel the version of you who already has it. Feel the joy, the calm, the lightness, the certainty. Let it spread from your chest to your limbs. Let it root into your cells. Let it become you. Because the universe isn't responding to what you say. It's responding to who you are. And you, beloved creator, are the feeling that forms the future. Practice emotional rehearsal. Each morning, ask, what is one emotion my desired reality would give me? Then, rehearse it. 5 minutes. Eyes closed. Feel it. Embody it. Act as if it's true. Repeat daily. You're not pretending. You're programming. The universe is listening. And emotion is the code. Chapter 16. Walking as the frequency. You are not just a receiver of the signal, you are the broadcast itself. There comes a time in the path when you stop asking, stop seeking, stop even affirming, and you begin walking, not as the one who desires, but as the one who already is. You begin to move through this life as if the thing you once longed for has already landed, and in doing so, you shift the entire structure of reality around you. This chapter is not about how to manifest. You already know. This is about embodiment. This is about walking as the frequency, where thought, emotion, and movement become one resonant field, vibrating in harmony with the life you've claimed. You must understand. The universe does not respond to your requests. It responds to your resonance. Every step you take, every breath, every glance, every word carries a signal. That signal is not what you say you want. It is who you are being right now. And the more aligned your being is with the frequency of your vision, the less you will need to effort. Reality bends to resonance. Ask yourself, what does the version of me who has already received walk like? How do they hold their posture? How do they enter a room? Do they doubt? Do they shrink? Do they hesitate to ask, speak, act, or shine? No. They move with calm conviction. They do not question their right to exist in abundance, peace, joy, or power. They carry themselves as if the frequency of their dream is coded in their bones. You don't wait for permission when you're already the one. You don't wait for results to feel worthy. You become the embodiment first. The results then arrive, not as a surprise, but as a reflection. This is what it means to walk as the frequency, to step into a dimension of life that already recognizes your vision as real, not through delusion, but through divine memory. Imagine yourself walking through a world that is alive, truly alive, and listening to your every breath. What you emit, it magnifies. What you ignore, it cannot reach. What you embody, it matches, not out of magic, but out of quantum law. Everything is vibration. Every thought has a frequency. Every feeling sends ripples through the field. And every action cements the frequency deeper into your timeline. So when you walk as the frequency, you do not act in faith alone. You act in alignment. You speak the language of your future with your present steps. You move as if you're already living the end of the prayer. And that movement is what unlocks the echo of your manifestation. Let's go deeper. You are energy in motion, literally. And the body remembers frequencies even before the mind translates them. If you walk like someone lost, the field records that vibration. If you walk like someone chosen, worthy, guided, the field reconfigures itself to support that truth. Your walk is a prayer. Your eyes are declarations. Your stillness is sacred signal. Your every choice is a frequency you're voting into existence. So what does it mean to walk as that frequency? It means when you rise in the morning, You do not wait to feel inspired. You decide to move with inspiration. It means you no longer look for signs, you become the sign. It means your inner state becomes the origin point of the entire reality around you. This is the embodiment of creation. This is how mountains move, not through thought, but through frequency. And frequency is walked, breathed, spoken, worn. There's a reason why the greatest spiritual masters didn't just teach, they lived the teaching. Jesus didn't just speak of the kingdom, he walked as its ambassador. Buddha didn't just sit in silence, his presence transmitted peace. Neville didn't just write of assumptions, he lived from the end. You too must walk it. Not tomorrow, now. You may think, but I still have fear. So did the prophets. You may think, but I don't feel worthy. That's exactly why you must walk, because movement transforms belief. You don't wait until your inner dialogue is perfect. You walk through doubt with presence. You override the static with the signal of embodiment. Each day, you rise and ask not, what do I feel like doing? You ask, what does the version of me who has already become do now? And then you move with them. You mirror them. You merge with them. This is the frequency of becoming realized in action. This is faith made physical. This is vibration made visible. You are not performing. You are harmonizing. Let me remind you, you are not separate from the reality you seek. You are simply out of sync. And to come into sync is not to wait. It is to walk. And when you walk as the frequency, you don't just change your life, you change the field. Others feel it. Doors that were sealed begin to sense you approaching differently. Timelines rearrange. Conversations align. Money, love, opportunity. They begin to orbit you not because of luck, but because you are now resonant. There is no longer a gap between you and your future. You are collapsing that gap with each breath, each choice, each sacred step. And here's the secret. Once you walk as the frequency long enough, you no longer remember who you were before it. The old self becomes a dream. The hunger becomes peace. The vision becomes memory. Because now, you're not trying to become, you are. You live like a song already playing. You move like a truth already proven. You breathe like the prayer has already been answered. Because it has. It always was. And you? You were always the broadcast. Sacred activation. As you move through the next 24 hours, carry this mantra in your chest. I am already it. Before every decision, every word, every step, pause and ask, does this align with the frequency of the version of me who has already become? If yes, proceed. If no, adjust. Repeat. Live. Walk. Watch what unfolds. Chapter 17. The End of Seeking. The Birth of Knowing. You came here looking, but what you were searching for was you. There is a sacred moment in the journey when something deep within you whispers, it's done. Not as an external victory, not because the world has finally handed you what you desired, but because you've remembered. Remembered what was never lost, heard what was always sounding beneath the noise, and become what you were always destined to embody. This is the end of seeking, not because there's nothing left to explore, but because the seeker dissolves. The identity that once chased, begged, questioned, reached and reached and reached, vanishes like mist, and what remains is stillness. What remains is knowing. What remains is the voice that never left. Now recognized, now honored, now embodied. You were not here to search endlessly for truth like a beggar outside heaven's gate. You were here to remember the frequency of the divine within your own bones. There comes a time when the question, how do I manifest, is no longer needed. Because you are the manifestation. You are the walking proof of the field in motion. You are the echo of your own decision. And the broadcast is no longer something you tune into. It is something you live from. The forgotten frequency was never truly forgotten. It was hidden, buried beneath fear, conditioning, noise, and inherited limitation. But it pulsed beneath every doubt. It hummed beneath every sleepless night. It sang through your pain. It called you when no one else did. And now, you hear it clearly. No more chasing. No more asking. No more pretending you are separate from the source, because now you walk as the field itself. This is what it means to know. To wake up in the morning and feel your worth before your feet hit the ground. To step outside and sense the wind responding to your alignment. To speak without fear because truth no longer trembles on your tongue. To choose with clarity because doubt has lost its grip on your frequency. Knowing is not thought. It is vibration. It is lived silence. It is the still presence that doesn't need to prove. It simply is. You are no longer waiting for the world to approve your worth. You walk in the frequency of one who knows. I was never separate. I was never broken. I was never waiting for permission. The end of seeking is the return to simplicity. There is nothing more to add to yourself. No more teachings to hoard. No more words to grasp for. No more rituals to validate your power. Because the power was never in the doing. It was always in the being. The forgotten frequency was the vibration of your original self. Before fear. Before shame. Before identity. Before the world told you who you were supposed to become. Now, you are not becoming. You are remembering. And in remembering, you no longer manifest through desire. You manifest through certainty. You no longer ask, "Can I have this?" You breathe it into being. You no longer wonder, "Am I enough?" You exist as the answer. You walk into rooms and shift them by your stillness. You speak less but mean more. You create, not from effort, but from ease. You do not try to be spiritual. You are the embodiment of spirit. And so the seeker lays down their tools. The ladder is kicked away. The grasping mind softens. The heart opens wide. And the body becomes a temple, not of seeking, but of transmission. There is a secret that only the initiated know. The thing you were trying so hard to attract was already orbiting your field. The moment you decided to stop needing it, the field responds to wholeness. Not performance. Not pressure. Not noise. Wholeness. The knowing that you are already connected, already chosen, already enough, already divine. This knowing does not scream. It does not fight. It simply radiates. And that radiation, that frequency, it changes everything. You are no longer the caterpillar clawing at transformation. You are the butterfly who remembers it was always inside. You are no longer the voice calling out to God. You are the echo of God calling itself into form. You are no longer the child begging the universe to love you. You are the universe, loving itself through you. So what is there left to seek? When the treasure was always hidden inside the one searching? What is there left to prove? When the proof is your very breath? What is there left to chase? When you realize the moment you became still, it arrived? The end of seeking is not the end of movement. It is the beginning of aligned creation. Now, you do not act to get. You act to express. You act as the source, not the receiver. You act from abundance, not lack. From radiance, not reaction. From peace, not panic. This is what it means to become the oracle of your own life. You don't ask what the future holds. You speak it into being. You don't search for signs. You are the sign others have been waiting for. You are no longer the student. You are the song. You are the sound that calls others into remembrance. You walk differently now. You dream differently now. You don't collapse under uncertainty. You expand within it. You don't fall into fear. You see it for what it is, a forgotten frequency, one you no longer need to tune into. So now we arrive at the still center, the quiet eye of the storm, the space between all things, where you no longer need proof. You no longer need answers, because you've become the source of both. You've remembered the frequency, the field, the truth beneath the noise, the you beneath the illusion. And what do you find at the end? Nothing to chase, nothing to earn, just this. I am. The final transmission is silence, not empty silence, radiant silence, the kind that speaks without words, the kind that sings through your breath, the kind that doesn't need to convince, because its frequency is so full, the world has no choice but to respond. Welcome to the end of seeking. Welcome to the beginning of knowing. Welcome home. Conclusion. The broadcast never stopped. What if I told you? You were never waiting for a sign. You were the sign that the silence wasn't empty. It was full of code. That every aching desire wasn't asking for something outside you. It was remembering something inside you. From the first chapter to the last vibration, this entire journey has not been about reaching for the stars, but realizing you are the frequency that makes them shine. This wasn't a manual. It wasn't a formula. It wasn't a set of beliefs. It was a transmission, a sacred echo from the place in you that never forgot. You began as the seeker, hungry, open, curious, confused. And through every word, every vibration, every pause between the lines, you were gently being tuned, not into something new, but into something ancient, something original, something holy, something already yours. The voice that speaks without words, it was always speaking. The sacred field, it was always humming around you. The law beneath all other laws, it was written in your bones. You were not learning. You were remembering. You were not changing. You were becoming what you already are. There's a moment that arrives, soft as breath, loud as thunder, when you stop chasing alignment because you've become it. You stop trying to manifest of every awal because your very being is the signal. You stop asking and you start embodying. You are the quantum prayer. You are the divine broadcast. You are the forgotten frequency, now remembered. You've walked through the sacred chapters. You heard the voice without language. You felt the field respond. You touched the law that underlies all laws. You stared into the living mirror and saw yourself reflected in God. You awakened the pulse of unseen power and became the dream dreaming back. You learned that calm commands and belief becomes flesh. That time is pliable and your body holds the broadcast. That even your emotions are divine instruments and the womb of creation lives within your surrender. You found the dimension hidden in plain sight, where you no longer ask, because you already are. And in the end, you walked beyond the seeker, beyond desire, beyond effort. And you stood, not in question, but in knowing. This is where we leave you. Not at the end of a book, but at the beginning of your embodied frequency. You no longer wait for reality to shift. You shift, and reality dances in response. You no longer search for proof. You radiate, and life cannot help but reflect you. You no longer read sacred words for answers, because now, your life has become the scripture. You are the field. You are the portal. You are the gate. You are the key. You are the forgotten frequency, now remembered, now restored, now resounding, forever. So, what now? Live it. Walk as it. Move like it. Speak from it. Think in it. Sleep in it. Breathe as it. Because from this point forward, you are the broadcast. And the universe? It's just tuning in.